guys, TJ here. I'm signing back on to the Attorney Trilogy. So we've come up on the final trial. Like, these things tend to be separated into 2 investigations, 2 trials. We're on the second one. And I have no doubt that our good friend TJ will be testifying at some point. Good morning, Mr. Wright. Good morning, Maggie. So, what do you think is going to happen today, sir? Yesterday's session didn't go so well and ended on a giant mystery. That's true. And we still haven't solved a single part of it yet. You okay, Nick? Huh? Oh, yeah, of course. I saw that! The little flash of doubt in your eyes! No! I wasn't doubt. That was the determination. Why don't I believe you? It's nearly time, Maggie. You better get going to the defendant's seat. Roger! Don't let me down, Mr. Wright. I'm counting on you. Hey, pow! Hey, Detective Gumshoe. Quit stressing Maggie out. She doesn't need that. How did you know she was stressed? I was watching through the doorway. Oh. You look like you lost the case already. Show a bit of confidence, will you, pal? Here, maybe this'll help. Have you taken up aromatherapy too? Not in a million years, pal. Don't tell me you don't remember this thing. Come to think of it, that doesn't look like one of those aromatherapy bottles. This is a small bottle that turned up in Trabian's kitchen a couple days ago. Wow, look at all these little bottles! Oh, they're aromatherapy oils. He's got so many they're overflowing onto the floor. Hey, wait a minute! There's one bottle that's different from all the others. Well, what do you know? And it doesn't have a label either. And it doesn't smell. We finally got the analysis results back from the lab. So, what is it? Is it the poison? I'm afraid not, pal. It's medication. Medication? The missing prescription medication, you mean? But why did Armstrong have it? I can only assume that was one of the things he probably pilfered to maybe sell on the black market. Yeah, for ears. Topical use only, apparently. For ears? You mean... Yeah, it's the medication Glenn Oak was using for his erupted eardrum. What was Glenn's ear medicine doing in the kitchen? What about the unidentified fingerprints? Anything on that? Someone screwed up, so they only had time to analyze the contents of the bottle. Another hour and they might have gotten something on the prints, but... What's going to weaken its impact is a piece of evidence. Okay, pal, this is it. Make sure your defense is impregnable today. Got it? Today's trial. I'm gonna expose that guy for what he's done. Or my name isn't Phoenix Wright. Alright, let's get this going, kiddo. Court is now in session for the trial of Maggie Bird. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Ready and waiting as always, Your Honor. Very good. We'll get underway at once. Yesterday we heard the testimony of Mr. Victor Kudo, whose testimony was primarily useless until the next day after the trial. He claims to witness the defendant putting a powder into the victim's coffee. However, the witness's testimony was plagued with a number of problems. Mark on the rim of the cup that shows the victim drank from it with his right hand. But according to the old man's testimony, he picked it up with his left hand. Thank you, Mr. Goodall. Furthermore, according to the witness's account, the victim was listening to the radio with an earpiece in his left ear. Yet the victim's left eardrum was ruptured, which made him effectively deaf in that ear. It's amazing how many contradictions a single case can have, huh, Nick? Allow me to enlighten you, Your Honor. The world, you see, keeps turning, and we must turn with it. You've also already mystical, though. Don't let the mysteries of yesterday mystify you today. Only losers think like that. You've gotta change with the times. That's one of my rules. Are you implying that you resolve these contradictions? You know the answers to these riddles? The old guy wasn't just throwing seed in here. He was throwing us off the scent. And today I'll prove it. Very well. Let the first witness take the stand. And you are? Oh, bonjour everyone! I am Jean Armstrong, the owner and chef of La Debian restaurant. Enchanté? Forgive me for asking for this, but are you a woman? Oh la la, monsieur! As you can see, I am the butt and Becky gentleman, no? On the day of the incident, you were in Trebian's kitchen. Isn't that right? Who is you, monsieur? Hmm? Everything feels right. Wow, he's totally unfazed. Does nothing intimidate this guy? I don't think that was intimidation. I think that was more flirting. Well, your testimony, please, witness. Please tell the court what happened that day at Trebian. Oui, volontiers. When it all happened, there were just 2 customers in my restaurant. I remember I was experimenting with some new art decors that day. Like having a large mirror between the tables, for example. Wait, perhaps that is what the older man was looking at. The cup, the earpiece, and the glasses, he would have seen everything in reverse, no? A mirror? Damn. It's not good enough to tell if there's a mirror there or not. If there was a mirror, it's probably being blocked off. Oui, un grand mirror, the most enormous mirror. Oh, okay, well, if you're calling it that, then bullshit. And suddenly the mystery disappears. Like I said, the world keeps turning, so roll with it. That would explain the coffee cup and the earpiece conundrum. The mirror would have made everything appear back to front. What the heck? It's way too early in the morning for this to be happening to me. Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. And who were the 2 customers exactly? My uncles, a little man who died, and the other, not so young man. You're referring to yesterday's witness, I presume. What about the other man Maggie says she saw at the table? Something tells me Mr. Armstrong isn't planning to disclose his existence. We need some hard evidence first before we can bring him up, don't we? I guess I'll just have to try a different approach for the time being. You were experimenting with Art Deco. How come I never heard that before today? You are not familiar with the language of interior design, monsieur. Please stay on topic. Now, why didn't you tell the court about this before? But I did. Just a few moments ago. Excuse me, Mr. Armstrong. This deco you mentioned, are you referring to some sort of decorature? No, Art Deco. It's a style of design, Your Honor. He's talking about interior design. Walls, ceilings, carpets, that kind of thing. Ah, yes, of course. That deco. I was trying to achieve a more effeminate look for my restaurant. I was planning the most bold remodeling of the decor. How big of a mirror are we talking about here? Oof. Something about 4 meters wide and, about 2 meters high. Let's see, 1 meter is about 1 yard. Holy glass frame! Glass in a frame, that's huge! I was intending to install it on the ceiling eventually. The ceiling? Was there a mirror on the ceiling? I don't remember. Might know, but I decided not to go through it in the end. What should I do? Should I ask him more about the mirror? Yes. Yes. If it really has such a large mirror in the restaurant, someone would have noticed it. But there's nothing about a mirror in Mr. Kudo or Maggie Bird's testimonies. But... Objection! You didn't ask, Trite. You only have yourself to blame for such sloppy work. What? A mirror was delivered to Trebian the day before the incident. Really? As Mr. Armstrong testified, he was carrying out some design changes. And as it turned out, he didn't actually use the mirror in the end. This just doesn't add up. Even if a mirror was delivered to Trebian, it doesn't prove that it was in the restaurant on the day of the crime. If you want to doubt someone, Trite, look in the mirror. I'm sure the person looking back at you will be dubious enough. So the witness yesterday had seen the victim reflected in a mirror. Normally I'd expect people to know the difference between a reflection and a real object. Objection! Normally? How does normality come into this? That's lame, Trite, even for you. Eh. You trying to say that if something isn't normal, it isn't possible? Is that it? Where does that leave the porky-headed lawyer and the top-knot chick over there? And the ungodly cool guy with the mask over here? Well, Trite... Not the hair! I do not have a top knot! Mr. Godot is correct. A lack of normality is no basis for discounting an argument. Bien, logic has one day. Everything. He would have seen everything in reverse. Oui? Hey, Nick, you should take a second to think about what old CD said in his testimony. How did he phrase it again? Boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his spec. No question. You can look me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear, without a doubt. And then he used the same hand to pick up the cup, his left hand. If he saw everything as he described reflected in a mirror, then everything he saw on the left was actually on the right, huh? And that clears up all the problems with his testimony, I guess. Or does it? Kinda hard to believe everything's the fault of a mirror, but... Do you think old CD saw everything through a reflection? If he did, it would explain all the contradictions in his testimony. But that just makes the situation worse for Maggie. There's gotta be something in that old man's testimony. We just gotta dig deeper. Okay, now that we may have... There's no mirror there? Okay, so we're supposed to go based on Kudos. Yeah, Kudos' testimony. The left eardrum was ruptured. The way he was looking would have been... Mirrors actually don't really... If you're standing in front of a mirror from the side, it's showing this. The mirror shows the side that's in front of it, not the opposite side. The coffee cup, the earpiece, and the HMD. Let's think back over to Mr. Kudo's testimony for a second, shall we? Boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side of the green nuns as his specs. No question. You can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear, no, without a doubt. So, to summarize, we were told both the HMD and the earpiece were on the victim's left side. Now, if Mr. Kudo saw all that through as a reflection in a mirror, it means both the HMD and the earpiece were actually on the victim's right side. Exactamente. You see, monsieur, now that you think about it, it's not so odd, no? Unfortunately, that's where we run into a monumental contradiction with the facts. If Mr. Kudo really did see everything in a mirror, why is it that the HMD is now on the wrong side of his head? Order! Order! Mr. Wright is correct. If the witness genuinely observed the victim reflected in a mirror, then we would expect the victim's eyepiece to have been over on his right eye.
Objection!
How bitter. Try it. You should have had it. You should have a taste of this bitterness. It'll calm you down in no time. Are we talking about your coffee or something completely different? You don't understand the way the witness thinks. How he thinks. You remember this, I presume. The I broke the vase, sorry apology, Mr. Kudo's sworn testimony? Exactly. The old man has one very grievous habit, other than throwing seeds. The more of an impression something makes, the more muddled his mind makes it. And what's the most striking thing about Mr. Elk? Clearly it's the victim's eyepiece. And that's my point. The old man strikes again. Mr. Elk's HMD made a big impression on the old man. I saw the earpiece and those newfangled spectacles he was wearing. Oh yes, they were both in his left ear, do you hear me? His left ear! Well tried. That's the worst but best impression of Kudo I've ever... yeah. Wow, I really thought he was old city for a minute there. Kudo's good. Enough. I must agree that yesterday's witness was irresponsibly rash in much of his testimony. Bad luck, Nick. Looks like the boil of a contradiction you found is just a rash. A mirror can't be beaten by a handful of seeds, nor can it lie. So, what exactly was the old man looking at? Fill us in, Mr. Armstrong. Go on, tell the court. We're all ears. But didn't he say he was in the kitchen the whole time? How could he have seen... Oh, never mind. I give up. Let's just continue. Oui, I can explain. Please, if you will look at the plans of the restaurant. Alors, is everyone sitting comfortably? The mirror? It was in the middle of the restaurant, dividing the two halves. There is only one seat, but he said he was sitting across from the guy. But in the... What? There is only one seat from which you could have seen the image of the victim. That was the seat at the table next to the victims. That was where the old man is sitting. After the terrible incident occurs, I moved the mirror so it was not in the way. Yes, because moving the mirror is something exactly more important than a dead fucking body. But naturally I did not touch anything else. Well, that's a fucking lie. I see no problems with the explanation we've just heard. From the table next to the victims, Mr. Kudos could have seen the victim in the mirror. What a naughty little croquette I am, confusing all the men like this. Don't worry about it. We can keep up, except for the guy breaking out in a cold sweat over there again. I hate that guy. You said you didn't touch anything else apart from the mirror. Are you quite sure about that? Volunteer, of course. Very well, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you please. Yeah, that's a big fucking lie. So, run this by me again. The mirror was here, correct? Oui? Oui. Really? Because I know if I were you, I wouldn't have put the mirror there. It would be in the way.
Objection.
Look who's talking, Trite. Hmm? You're obstructing my view, among other things. That's not an objection. That's just you being an ass. This is my seat in the courtroom. Très bien charm is that it gives you the impression that you're the only customer. Temporarily placing a mirror in that spot would hardly be in the way. Unlike you, Trite. I tell you, monsieur, the mirror is there in the middle of the restaurant. I feel sorry for anyone who would bump into it then. Oh wait, you only had one employee. Right. She's probably the most unluckiest girl I've ever met. And where would that be? Oh la la! Look how you lean towards me. I always attract the younger boys. Maybe I should keep you in suspense a little longer. Mr. Armstrong, tell the court what you know at once. I attract the older ones too, you know. Handsome. Shall I tease you too? This guy's making the judge question his sexuality. I'm already seeing a very hot someone, so I'm afraid you'll be waiting for a long time. Eh? I bet she has monochrome skin and cappuccino perfume. Bien, I will tell you, there was only one seat from which you could have seen. So why can you only see the victim from that particular seat? My monsieur, is it obvious, no? If you look at the plans, you will understand. The victim would have been reflected in the mirror like this. Okay, so explain this seat right here, which is where he said he was. My fucking god. If you were sitting at the table next to him, you would see everything, no? Not to mention he was trying to read the newspaper. So that's the seat he was sitting in on that day? When the poisoning happened, the old man was sitting at the table next to the victim? Why does that seem kind of odd? Because it is. Did you move the mirror while Mr. Kudo was off calling the police? Oui, exactement. I carried it out of the restaurant then. You moved a huge mirror like that all by yourself. What can I say? I know how to pick things up. Handsome. Kudo actually laughed at something! Well, given the witness's physique, I suppose it is possible. Did you move anything else from the crime scene, Mr. Armstrong? I looked like the obliging type. No? Are you sure about that? I don't you not seen except the mirror. Mr. Wright, is there something witness has said that doesn't match the crime scene? Yeah, there is. Just can't put my finger on what exactly. Suffering from a case of heartburn, Tright? Oh, I have just the thing for that. An oil with golden myrrh and a Frankenstein. What? Add a few drops to your coffee and voila, enjoy. I really hope you're not drinking that. Focus, Phoenix. Breathe. Need to ignore those two and just find some evidence. It is pretty strange though, isn't it? I mean, nobody mentioned anything about a really large mirror. You'd think someone would have, but Maggie didn't, and neither did old Sadie. And the only logical explanation is that there was no mirror inside Trabian that day. I've just gotta prove it. Somehow. How? The only thing I can think about was this, but this was the scene of the crime, and he claims that he moved it while Kudo was out looking for a payphone. So, instead of Kudo being where he said he was over near the kitchen. And a big old mirror was in the middle. Am I the only one that knows that doesn't make sense? That's just... Okay, remember the testimony. He also said that he accidentally knocked over the vase. You little bastard. How do you explain this then? This piece of evidence contradicts with the testimony we've heard, Your Honor. The crime photo? Yes, this photo clearly shows us something theoretically that should not exist. What on earth do you mean by that, Mr. Wright? Should not exist? Sounds like you're describing yourself. Okay, seriously. What the fuck do you have against Phoenix Wright? Are we gonna get to know that? Because you constantly berating him is really starting to piss me off. Also, pronounce his name correctly, you dingus. You sci-fi wannabe. Now then, if the defense would please clarify this statement. What is the something that should not exist in this photo? I think it's pretty obvious that this picture is what should not. That this is what. That. I swear I can fucking read. I think it's pretty obvious that this is what should not be in the picture. The vase? What possible connection does that have with the witness's testimony? Your Honor, I'm telling you that there should have been no vase on this table. Because it's very clearly contradicts with this piece of evidence. There's one thing that was clearly demonstrated by yesterday's testimony. Mr. Kudo broke the vase that was on the table where he was sitting. And yet, as the court can see, there is an unbroken vase on the table next to the victim. Why? Because Mr. Kudo was not, in fact, sitting at that table next to the victim at all.
Objection!
Don't be an idiot, Trite. That's impossible. That seat's the only one Kudo could have seen the reflection from. Exactly. There's only one conclusion we can draw from this contradiction. There was no mirror in Trebien that day. Your testimony, Mr. Armstrong, is an elaborate lie. Mon Dieu!
Objection!
Don't try to confuse the court, Trite. Obviously, the witness cleaned up the vase, while the police were taking their time getting to the crime scene. Unfortunately, Mr. Godot, that doesn't quite work for me. Mr. Armstrong already testified to the contrary, in his own words. I did not touch anything else except the mirror. Dude, seriously, be careful about drinking up hot coffee that quickly. Well, witness, what do you have to say for yourself? I was right. There was no mirror in the restaurant that day. In the light of this revelation, we return back to the original problem. Why did the victim have an earpiece in an ear in which he couldn't hear? You only get one shot in life. There's no turning back. If you want to claim that the mirror wasn't there, Trite, then this problem is all yours. How do you explain what the old man saw? If I can answer this, then I'll be that much closer to the truth. I can feel it. Are you going to be okay? Can you really solve this contradiction, Nick? There's more than just this one contradiction, Maya. What do you mean? Remember what Maggie told us? There was another man at the victim's table. And there was a sample CD on the victim's table. It all flies in the face of Mr. Kudo's testimony. And I think I know the reason. Why nothing in this case is adding up. Well, Mr. Wright, let's hear your answer. Yes, Your Honor. The reason behind all the contradictions in Mr. Kudo's testimony is simple. The victim was a phony. It wasn't actually the victim. But then... Okay, hang on. I need to think about this for a second. Okay. There was another person at the table, which was supposed to be Tigre. If what we're seeing by the flashback is, and yet so okay, if this theory is to be proven correct, Tigre would have had to have killed Elg elsewhere, stole his clothes, put them on, and pretended to be poisoned by, most likely, the, Cadaverini girl. Because she did say that she helped him. Glenn Elk is a somewhat tan man. Y'all are fucking idiots! Yet there's one very simple answer that clears them all up. And what is that? The incident Mr. Kudo witnessed and the incident that the victim experienced were two completely different events. What? Yes, the victim that Mr. Kudo saw wasn't Mr. Glen Elg at all. It was an imposter, a phony pretending to be Mr. Elg. Obviously, unlike the victim, there was nothing wrong with the imposter's left eardrum. That's how he ended up with wearing the earpiece in his left ear by mistake. Spit take. Yep. Order in the court. Settle down or I'll clear the courtroom. Quiet, Gramps. Why don't you clear out of here, huh? What did you say? That's right. Are you saying that Mr. Kudo saw was a setup? Yes. Someone pretended to be Glen Elg and acted out the whole coffee poisoning for the express purpose of creating a witness out of one Mr. Victor Kudo.
Objection.
Get real, trite. Why would anyone want to do that? Isn't it obvious? The thing Mr. Kudo was most insistent about in his testimony was... Servant girl brought him a Javachino. She put something in it. That's the servant girl, right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well. It's so hard to believe, but... there was one and only one reason to show Mr. Kudo this fake poisoning. To show Maggie Bird in the act of poisoning the coffee.
Objection.
Are you insinuating that the witness in the old man's story was a fake as well? It's true that there were no other customers in the restaurant at the time, but... it's also true that the chef was there. How would he have noticed what was happening? Or he would have noticed what was happening. If he was in the kitchen the whole time? No. That's right. Well, witness, if your restaurant really was the scene of such theatrics, you would have known about it, correct? Ooh la la, this is most difficult for me. No, it's quite simple. All you have to do is testify. You are under oath after all. Was there, in fact, a phony at Trey Bien that day? The defense demands that Mr. Armstrong tell us the whole truth about what happened. The defense's request for additional testimony is accepted. You will accurately explain, in detail, the events in the restaurant that day. Oui. The victim, Monsieur Egg, he came to my restaurant alone. I remember the old man arrived not long after him. There was no other customers. When he got the word he won the lottery, Mon Egg became very excited. It was approximately 5 minutes later, as after the poisoning incident occurred. No, there was no time for a phony to do the acting. Just so we're clear, there was no mirror in the restaurant after all. Je vous demande pardon. Forgive me, Your Honor. I lied because I wanted this mystery to be cleared up quickly. What you have just done is commit perjury, Mr. Armstrong. I will decide how to punish you later. Oui. For now, we will hear your cross-examination. Mr. Wright, if you please. Took the perjury charge a bit too well. Any way to get out of being killed by the Cadaverini girl? But I'm guessing he'll be in more serious trouble after this cross-examination. Yeah, I think he'd rather be in jail for perjury than end up dead in a ditch. Was he alone at his table as well? Maybe. I saw him from the kitchen. Yet the defendant, Miss Bird, remembers differently. She swears there was another man at the victim's table.
Objection.
Unfortunately for you, Wright, yesterday's witness also testified that the victim was alone. You know, seeing you squirm like that reminds me of a certain coffee's bittersweet bite. What kind of coffee has he been drinking? Probably laced with some sort of drug. Actually, no. Hyped up on caffeine. It's not coffee, it's love. It's love that's bittersweet. Hearing Maya say that makes her seem wise all of a sudden. By old man, you mean Victor Kudo, correct? Oui, it comes often for my special coffee. I drink your coffee once, Mr. Armstrong. It's special, I'll give you that. It's worth a sip just for the experience. Oh, you make me so happy, monsieur. Yeah, I most welcome any time. They said it was worth one sip, and nothing more. So, old Mr. Kudo arrived at the restaurant around the same time as the victim. Maybe I should ask about his arrival in more detail. How many minutes after? So you're saying that not much time elapsed between when the victim and the Mr. Kudo arrived? Oui, is that correct? But that still leaves the possibility that something happened in that gap of time. And by your recollection, how much time would you say elapsed? Let me see. Approximately 2 minutes, I would say. 2 minutes? That's all? It seems unlikely anything untoward could have happened in such a short time. Rats! I knew I shouldn't have pursued this line of questioning. Okay, what time was it? Out of curiosity, about what time was it when Mr. Kudo arrived? Oh no, I cannot remember, monsieur. I believe we were told by a witness yesterday. Crime was reported at 2:25 p.m. by a kind of scary old man, sir. Does that perhaps jog your memory, witness? Isn't it happened around 30 minutes after he arrived? So the victim must have arrived between 2 p.m. and 2:10 p.m., no? That's more than 2 minutes! Oh no, wait, the victim arrived between 2 and 2:10. Just after 2, huh? Wait. That doesn't make sense! The time of death was between 1:30 and 2:30. Or would it? Would it make sense? I don't know. I'm confused. Thank you for your help in jogging my memory, monsieur. You are wonderful. I can't stay here all the time and do nothing now, can I? The time of day will be added to the witness's testimony. Oui, monsieur judge. Everything I do it for you. Merci bien. And that's French, isn't it? Glad at least one person's in a good mood. He's even humming a song to himself. Are you absolutely sure about the time? When I think really odd, I am sure it was just after 2 weeks. It is the time I stopped serving the lunch menu. Quite right, I always break for lunch when the restaurants are serving their specials. I've been known to wind up a case early just to make it on time. I guess you should never get between a hungry judge and his lunch. Oh, would you look at that? It's almost lunchtime already. Witness, get on with your testimony, please. So your only customers are Mr. Kudo and the victim. How many times do you need to ask the same thing and try as many times as possible, as proven by Edgy and Fran? You never catch me drinking the same blend twice. You sure about that? You say you drink What, 17 cups of coffee? Are they not the same blend? Right. Huh? You're trying to establish the presence of a phony victim in the restaurant. But you're wasting your time. You can't grind a bird seed to make coffee, if you catch my drift. But there's a hole in this testimony somewhere, I'm sure of it. Did you see him? No, I was in the kitchen, but I heard him. I remember him shouting, "Yes, and for $1,000,000!" Presumably the defendant heard that too, then, correct? Maggie? She looked like a bored little frightened dove. And what about Mr. Kudo? The old man choked up on some bird seeds that got stuck in his throat. It seems we now have yet another incident on our hands. And what were you doing at that point? Without any customers, you must have had time to kill. I am a multi-talented woman, monsieur. Sorry, what do you mean? There is a renowned chef, Jean Armstrong, and the tragic poet Clarice Armstrong. Clarice? Oui, I was writing a poem, an angry tale of a chef and $500,000 of debt. Cooking for a man who won $500,000 on the lottery. It is called pourquoi. It means why. If perhaps I could recite it for the court? Please don't. You mean you contacted the police as soon as the incident occurred? I asked the old man to call from the payphone. By your own argument, right? The purpose of this phony victim's performance was so the old man would see it. In other words, once the incident occurred, this opportunity would completely disappear. Indeed. Bien, it seems the shadow of doubt has been lifted, n'est-ce pas? I guess Mr. Armstrong is connected to this case, huh? Absolutely. Someone was impersonating Mr. Elk, and I refuse to believe he was oblivious. He was there the whole time, after all. But if you're right, wouldn't Maggie have noticed too? She fell unconscious when the incident occurred, remember? You mean that's when the phony staged his act? We'll know for sure once I find a hole in his testimony. Okay. Can you explain this, please? How? How is that not a contradiction? Okay. Is there anything? No. No. No way in hell. That only proves the possibility that only proves his reasoning for his motive for stealing the ticket. No. This didn't somehow. No. No. December 3rd, the day of the incident, there's no saying meet with the tiger, but it doesn't say where. So... Ah, here we are. I'm afraid I finally got you, Mr. Armstrong. What? What do you mean? At the time in question, the victim was listening to the radio with his earpiece. The show he was listening to was Millionaire Radio. Each week, they announced the winning numbers of the $500,000 lottery ticket. Oui, that was the show Monel was listening to. I can't see any problem with this testimony, Mr. Wright. I wonder. You say the victim arrived at the restaurant after 2 p.m., correct? Oui, I'm sure of it. I remember it perfectly now. I know it was that time, because I had just finished serving the lunch menu. Get to the point, Trine, if you have one. That show is broadcast live at 1:30 p.m. And it claims to be the most thrilling 10 minutes of your life. It's on the air at 1:30? No. Supposedly, the victim made some noise when it was announced that he'd won. And yet, I don't believe his cry of joy could have occurred after 2 p.m. Because the show had already finished more than 30 minutes earlier by that point in time. This victim we've been told about has done nothing but the impossible. Listening to the radio with a ruptured eardrum, catching a show that was already over. There was only one conclusion you can draw from these facts. This victim was an imposter, acting out the poisoning 30 minutes after the real murder. Yes, there were 2 Glen Elgs in Trebian that day. The real Glen Elg, now dead, having been poisoned by the real killer. And the phony Glen Elg acting out the events for Mr. Kudo to witness. It certainly seems that way. I mean, if that wasn't the case, how do you explain the time discrepancy? Objection. Quite a performance, Trine. You were almost on a roll. But sadly, you lack the rock-hard foundation of rhythm to build your song. What is this, Music Theory 101? Let's recap. According to your imaginative theory, it's now just after 2 p.m. The phony elk is performing a play for the benefit of Mr. Kudo. How do you explain then where the real Glen Egg is? I don't believe I have to spell this out for the court. However, at that time, the real Glen Elg was already dead. That's certainly the obvious conclusion. Objection. Thank you, Trite. That's exactly what I was hoping you would say. What? Now I presume we can prove this theory of yours. Can you explain where the missing corpse went to? The missing corpse? According to the old man's testimony, there was only one other customer there. If that customer was the phony Glen Elg, then where did the killer hide the body of the real victim? We didn't find it. It was obviously found at some point. When Victor Kudo was gone, they switched out the real body. They could have put him in the kitchen. They could have put him under the desk. I doubt Kudo would have noticed. Are you really not thinking about possibilities here, Mr. Roboto? The prosecution has a valid point, Mr. Wright. If your theory is to stand up to examination by the court, you must provide us with proof by answering the prosecution question. Where did the killer hide the body? Yes, Your Honor. No conjecture, Trite. Let's hear some facts for once. Show the court a piece of evidence that proves where the body was hidden. Evidence? What's with the intense pressure in here all of a sudden? I thought I had him with that contradiction. But he's turned it all around and backed me into a corner instead. Well, Mr. Wright, the court will now hear the defense's theory of evidence. First, where was the body of the real Mr. Elg concealed? In order for it to really work, it would have had to have been inside the kitchen. Start there. It would have been too dangerous to take the body outside. Obviously, the body must have been hidden somewhere wait, no, it went inside because we found his in the kitchen. So yeah, the body had to have been dragged to the kitchen and then dragged back out when Kudo went to go get the police. Interesting. But where could a body have been hidden inside a restaurant? Perhaps you would care to show the court these plans, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. Yeah, it definitely would have been the kitchen because the desk has this opening here. Even someone like Kudo would have been able to notice that. The body was hidden here. I see. Nice supposition. But the real question is, can you back it up? Where's the evidence that proves the body was hidden in that location? Here you are. Have fun. Mr. Armstrong, do you recognize this bottle? No. I had never seen such ugly bottle before in my life. I only use the very best bottles, monsieur. Is the highest quality only for me. Where was that bottle found, Mr. Wright? Interestingly enough, Your Honor, it was found in the kitchen of Très Bien. Quoi? But I only ever use these bottles for my aromatherapy oils. But this bottle doesn't contain aromatherapy oil, Mr. Armstrong. No, it contains a medication. What kind of medication? I'm sure everyone remembers, don't they? That Mr. Elk visited an otolaryngologic visited a near doctor and was given medication that day. It kind of just ruined everything when it comes to reading that. You can't be serious. The defense had the contents of the bottle analyzed, and I have the lab results here. The contents of the bottle matched the prescription that was given to Mr. Elk. Glenn Elk's murderer hid the body in the restaurant kitchen, at which time this bottle fell out of the victim's pocket. Mr. Armstrong, when the incident occurred, didn't you say you were in the kitchen? Mon Dieu. Yes, you know what I'm about to say. It was you who hid the victim's body. You did a fine job pretending to defend my client, Maggie Bird. However, you were setting her up to take the fall behind the poor girl's back. No! Order! Order! This is an extraordinary development. Witness, did you murder Mr. Glenn Elk? Never! I could not do such an horrible scene. Mr. Godot? Bitterness. Every time I get lied to, I always lay down a mug of coffee. That's one of my rules. Do you have the slightest idea how many cups you've had by now? If I'm just going by how many times I've seen that cup go into his hand, slide right into his hand, 3. At this point, it's probably been more since he just chugged 2 more down. Then I like to do the same to the person who lied to me. I like to take them down with my empty cup. Listen up, chef. How about a brand new flavor for your ear, my age-deficient friend? Je vous demande pardon. Please, you must hear me out. It is a trap. Listen to me. Por favor. Yo habla español, Mr. Armstrong, and por favor is Spanish. I'm only going to ask you once. Did you do it? No, absolutely no. Let's hear it. You've got one shot. Right, Gramps. Witness, the court will permit you the chance to make one final statement. If you lie under oath again, Mr. Godot's coffee mug awaits you. As does my gavel. Oui, it is clear. What do they always say in movies? I've got a bad feeling about this. Very well. Begin your final testimony, Mr. Armstrong. It is true. I ate the body in the kitchen. A man forced me to do it. I had no choice. I had to go along with him because there was a reason why I could not refuse. But I did not kill him. I swear it. You must believe me. That part, yes, you did not do. You were forced. By who? I cannot say, or I will be erased. Let's try a different question then. When Mr. Elk died, was he really the only person at his table? There was... There was another man. I knew it. Maggie was telling the truth. He was intimidated. You may now cross-examine the witness now, Mr. Wright. There's just one more thing I need to do. I gotta break this guy and get him to tell us the name of the real killer. He was indeed intimidated. Intimidated into everything that he testified to as well, because he would have ended up dead otherwise. It's really unfortunate, to be honest. Did you carry the body by yourself? Oui, I carried him. And I carried Maggie too. Maggie too? When she saw the victim collapsed, she fainted. I could not leave her there. But why did you hide the bodies? What man? Who was he? No, I cannot say. I fear for my life. He's really scared. You'll just have to put the words in his mouth, Nick. Yeah, you're right. If he won't tell me, I'll tell him. But why would you go along with this man? Then what reason would that be, Mr. Armstrong? You know, monsieur. Yes? Surely you cannot expect a young maiden to talk about such an embarrassment. A maiden? You're a bit old to get away with that. And a bit too male. I can't finish the cross-examination without establishing his reason. So I'll just have to prove it with evidence. So you're claiming that all you did was hide the bodies, is that correct? Oui, that's right. If we're to believe you, Mr. Armstrong, you must tell the court everything. You must make clear the identity of the man who ordered you to do this. He's already confessed this much. Might as well stop dancing around the real issue. Yeah, but he really doesn't want to tell us who the killer is. Then suck it to him, Nick. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. But... there's this. You have a $500,000 debt, don't you? $500,000? Is this true, Mr. Armstrong? Oui, je suis désolé. I will speak in the borrowed money. This is Mr. Armstrong's Achilles heel. And that's why you couldn't refuse anything asked of you by this man. Furio Tigre. $500,000 loan from a black market loan shark. And you had no way of paying it back, did you? That's why you were forced to do anything this man told you. Oui, it is as you say. Mr. Armstrong, the tiger, it told me he was going to use my restaurant for a business rendezvous. On the day in question, he was meeting the victim to demand that he repay his loan. I don't know why it appeared like that. It happened like that. I just did what he told me to do. I had no choice. I carried the body and let inconscient Maggie out of the dining area and into the kitchen. After that, I just tried to forget what I had seen. I think we can now safely say that the man who forced your hand was Mr. Furio Tigre. I do have one further question for you, Mr. Armstrong. The poison and the lottery ticket were found in the defendant's apron pocket. Was that your doing as well? No, I knew nothing about that. Making it look like it was Maggie who had done it. I was not. It is despicable. Mr. Godot, you will summon the Furio Tigre as a witness. I doubt that can be arranged today, so we will adjourn for now. Proceedings will continue tomorrow. $30. What? The trial will go on. I'll see to it myself. I need half an hour to get that guy on the stand. Not a minute more. How the... Don't sit back and relax just yet, trite. No one knows if that chef is really telling the truth or not. This trial can still go either way. Very well. Your request is granted, Mr. Godot. We will resume once Mr. Tigre is ready to take the stand. Until then, court is adjourned for a 30-minute recess. I'll be very impressed if you can get him in here in 30 minutes. The man loves to fight. So we're finally going to see the tiger on the stand. You've almost got this case won now, Nick. I wish I could agree. Huh? When I cross-examined Mr. Armstrong just now. He said he was just doing what the tiger told him to do. But Godot picked up on it, remember? He pointed out that without proof, we don't know if what he testified is the truth. You mean... You think Mr. Armstrong was lying? I don't know. But if that's the line the prosecution takes, we could be in trouble. I get the feeling that we don't have the case-making evidence we're going to need. Hey, pal! Detective Gumshoe! What are you so jumpy about, Detective? Your hair's standing on end. I mean, isn't it kind of usually? Isn't it usually to look at him? Hey, that's the pot calling the kettle black, little Miss Top Knot. It's not a top knot! Never mind about the hair, just calm down, alright? I can't stand still when I don't have a job to do. I get kind of wound up. No kidding. You gotta have something for me you need me to do, pal. Anything! Well, hey, I'm gonna take a jog back down to the precinct. I could get some prints analyzed for you if you got an hour. An hour? The trial will have reconvened by then. But, Nick, we still don't have a really decisive piece of evidence, right? True. But that's some kind of trump card to pull out of the bag. We're really stuck. You said you can get some fingerprints analysis done in an hour? You bet. In that case, would you mind checking the prints on this for me? This is the only thing... like, with fingerprints that I have. If you're going back to the station anyway, could you find out whose prints are on this? Oh, hey, that's the small bottle I gave back to you this morning, right? Yeah, I think it's time we solved the last mystery of who the prints on it belong to. Sure thing, pal! Actually, that's been gnawing at me too. Okay, I'll get this off to the lab right away. Just make sure you don't lose the case before I get back. This is pretty much the final showdown, I guess. It's time to separate the phonies from the real guys. Woo, boy, we're gonna be going up against the tiger himself. Court will now reconvene. Mr. Godot, did you find this Furio Tigre? I even tamed him for you. It was a 3-cup job. No problem. Interesting. How did you, of all people, tame him? The only people I think that could tame him is someone who has something over him. Tamed him? The guy's name may be Furio Tigre, but come on. Hey, you say that. He's as much of a he's as much of a hot-headed tiger as they come. He's pretty lively. Be careful. He still bites. Very well. Please show Mr. Tigre to the stand. Witness, please. Don't hide under the table, Maya. Unless there's room for me down there. You wanna hide now too? Would you mind? What'd you say to me? Nothing. I didn't say nothing. Honest. I could have guessed that fear would induce a bad Brooklyn accent in the judge. I got business to take care of. You hear me? So who the hell called me into this hole? Was it you, Spiky? No, of course not. It was the judge. Your Honor! Oh dear, I seem to have dropped my pen. Where on earth is it? Don't mind me. Just carry on with the proceedings as normal. That's it. We're doomed. Maybe you didn't hear me. I said, who the hell was it that called me in here? There's no need to shout. We can all hear you. What'd you say? There's no point struggling. You're caught in a snare. The restless snare of the law. And I'm the one that hauled you in. Too cool. Don't let it get the better of you, Nick. Let's start with the basics. You know about the incident in question, correct? Incident? I don't know nothing about no stinking incident, masked boy. You mean you didn't attend the previous trial of Maggie Bird? Maggie who? I've got more important things to do than watch courtroom dramas. Of course. Well, perhaps you could give us your testimony then. Please tell us about what you did on the day of the murder. Phoenix Wright. You're the one who set this up, didn't you? You're gonna regret the day you ruffled the tiger's fur. You hear what I'm saying? Maybe I should have brought a diaper with me today. No. Get a grip, Nick! Says the woman hiding under the table. I don't know nothing about no murder. I was tied up with business in December last year. Spent all of my time in my office. I got whales lined up to borrow cash from tender lender every single day. You just want to check my alibi? Just ask Violetta. Oh, welcome back. Ah, at last I found my pen. Very well then. Mr. Wright, a cross-examination. What is it? Please, witness, if you could refrain from shouting out like that. I know the kind of games that guy in the blue plays. That lowlife ain't no lawyer. He just punches away at stupid details till he wins. Lowlife? Me? I'm not the criminal here. Listen up, smarty. Every time you ask me something that don't relate to this case, I'm gonna bill you $50,000. And you's gonna borrow the cash from me. That's one contract I refuse to sign. And don't think it ain't gonna hurt when you tangle with the tiger. I love a good spectator sport. Just a minute. That's really not. This witness is... how can I put it? Hungry tiger roaming the urban jungle. Get on his bad side, and he'll bite everyone's heads off. Yours too. Very well. I have no choice but to impose a penalty system here. You better be listening. I said I got business to take care of. Big business. If I don't split now, I ain't gonna catch my bus. What about your scooter? The court will impose a penalty for any irrelevant pressing of the witness testimony. Keep that in mind as you begin your cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. You can do it, Nick! Come out from under there already, would you, Maya? Okay, I don't know, not about no murder. I was tied up with business in December last year, spent all of my time in my office. I do have the calendar here. It's like, meet with the tiger, but it doesn't say where, so I can't exactly. Now I gotta be careful where I press. This is what's bugging me. I'm just gonna. Are you sure about that? We're talking about 1 month ago, you know. You see these teeth? That's how sharp my secretary is. Sharp? Is he talking about Viola Cadaverini? She writes everything in my schedule. December, mainly in the office. That's what it says, so that's where I was. That seems like a rather sketchy schedule. There he goes again. What the tiger did all December isn't the issue. What's important is what he was doing on the day of the murder. So, now what? Press harder. Mr. Tigley, what you want? If you wouldn't mind going into a bit more detail. Objection. This is a dead-end Triton, and you know it. Remember the rules. No, it's essential that we establish the witness's alibi accurately. I agree. The victim was killed on December 3rd. Were you in the office that day too? Maybe you say listening. Of course I was. I never set foot outside. I had meetings all day with a bunch of cats wanting to do business with me. I had never seen that young kid before. I don't believe the witness's last statement was important. Mr. Goodall, if you could please. Mr. Ziegler, the court asks you to add that last statement to your testimony. Don't let an animal beat you. Be a man, Your Honor, and ask him yourself. Okay, here is where we present this. Mr. Tigre, you claim you didn't know Mr. Glenn Elg, but it appears that Mr. Elg knew you. What? Mr. Elg left this little note on his calendar. Meet with the tiger. And the date? December 3rd. December 3rd? That's the day of the murder. So, Mr. Tigre, I submit that you did indeed know one Mr. Glenn Elg. Because on the very day of the incident, you met with him. Not bad. He's actually not bad. Sorry? I was just messing with you to see how good you were. Did you hear that, Nick? He said you're not bad. That's one compliment I could do without. Plus, he's lying through his teeth. Witness, please remember that you're under oath. Lies will not be tolerated. You call me a liar? Is that what you're doing? Ruh-roh. The judge turned into Scooby-Doo. So you're saying that you... I can't. Calm down. Calm down. So, you're saying that you claim to have never seen that kid before. It's the truth. I said I'm dead serious. You better believe that's the truth. The nights say that gives me time to enjoy another cup of pure black magic. And that is while you testify for the court again, Mr. Tigre. Oh, yes, would you mind indulging the court with us? You never actually met the victim? That's gotta be a lie right there. It's time I nailed this guy. And would you please do everyone a favor and stop sticking out your tongue? No one wants that. I ain't no liar. I never met Glen Oak. There was some lame guy with that name, though. Wanted to borrow cash from me. I set up a meeting with the guy at my office, 10 to Linda. I waited around for him, but he ain't never showed up. I ain't never been to the Trabian joint, you see? I see. It all seems perfectly logical. You had arranged to meet with the victim, but he didn't show up. I've heard it's pretty hard to keep appointments when you're dead. Very well. You may begin your cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. Didn't I tell you I got a big deal going down today? I ain't gonna make my bus now. I'm gonna have to take the express train. That bill's going straight to you. Right. We ain't getting no bill. This one bothers me the most. You lying to me? Mr. Tigre, is there something you'd like to tell the court about these matches? Matches? What are you talking about? We found them in your office at Tender Lender. They're from that restaurant? Well, if you've never been to Très Bien before, what's with the bulk of the restaurant's matches doing on your desk? You've been stooping around my stuff now too, wise guy. Why are you, my bone chain? Ain't no broad controlling me. The broad? We didn't mention anything about anyone controlling you, dude. What are you on? Probably whatever weed he smoked before coming in. Wouldn't surprise me if he was on weed, let's be real. Order! Order! Well, witness. I think it's time you started telling us the truth, don't you? Sorry, I'm terribly sorry. Forgive me. I ain't no pussycat. I don't go back on what I said. But, okay. I was at the joint that day. What? But listen good, alright? I might have been there, but I still never met that kid. Well. Looks like an order just came in for another testimony. I'm this close to proving it was him. He did meet Glen Elk that day. And he did put poison in his coffee. He must have. And I am so tempted to press everything, but with the fact that there is... Oh, I am so scared. I need to really, think before I do. Yeah, it was easy, those last two ones, but this one may be a little rougher. I was supposed to meet with the kid at the restaurant that afternoon. When I opened the door to the joint, I saw one ugly scene. The guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. I figured if the place wasn't hot already, it was gonna be me, so I split. I heard the cop's siren on my way out, and I went straight back to my office. I see. You didn't actually meet with him in the end, then. Well, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please. Yes, Your Honor. Hold it. If I wait around here any longer, I ain't even gonna make the normal express. No more stupid questions. No problem. Anytime Trey presses you on something irrelevant, I'll see you pay as a penalty. Mr. Goodall, that's my job! Your job is to slam that hammer of yours and call a guilty verdict. So do it. Yes, sir! Special Express ain't cheap, right? Just so you know, you's paying. Oh, man. Doesn't the rule of law mean anything around here? Okay. Supposed to meet the kid. Another scene. Guy was laid over on the table. You just get there. And you see the guy. I mean, hang on. Yeah, there's a wall there. You're something of a loan collecting pro, aren't you, Mr. Tigre? No one escapes the tiger's clutches. Well, I'm something of a lie detecting pro. And no one escapes the Phoenix's clutches. I think it's time we got something straight. What's this, Trite? A new line of irrelevant questions? These are the floor plans of the crime scene. Oh, yeah, this is the wall. Okay. This shows what's blocking. Yeah. You say you were standing at the entrance, Mr. Tigre. From there, your field of vision would have covered an area like something like this. Indeed, the witness would have had a clear view of the victim's seat. Isn't that what I just said? I saw the back of the kid's head. Unfortunately for you, that is not possible. If the court would think back, you'll remember that between each of the tables is a tall partition. Why, that's true! Now look at the plans again. The truth is painfully obvious. From the entrance, the field of vision of any customer walking in ends here. So, from the entrance of Che Bien, you couldn't have seen the victim's seat. But you did see the victim that day, because you met with him!
Objection!
Wrong! Have you forgotten the old man's testimony yesterday? The victim was alone at his table. But the defense just proved that point to be moot. The victim witnessed by Mr. Kudo was not Glenn Elk, but a fake. What? In order to have Mr. Kudo testify falsely, the real killer posed as the victim he had just killed and acted out a charade. That will do. This trial has gone on long enough without the obvious question being answered. Who exactly is this real killer who impersonated the victim? You say the killer murdered Glenn Elk, and then impersonated his victim in a performance for Mr. Kudo. In that case, Mr. Wright, reveal the identity of this criminal to the court. Who else could it be? But the man on the stand himself? Obviously. The killer is Furio Tigre. No one else could have done it. What? Well, witness? Now that's cute. You think you can pin this on the tiger? Maybe you don't understand. The tiger's king of the jungle. So I dare you to say it again. Come on, you got the guts. You can threaten. You can't threaten me. Says the guy who hid under his desk. It's the defense. Go ahead and tell the witness, Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright! Sounds to me like it must be you, old man. You've got guts, I'll give you that. Mr. Wright, do not leave me to handle this alone. Perhaps I can end this embarrassment. Mr. Mr. Kudo, let's just go back over Mr. Kudo's testimony one more time. The old man didn't see the victim. Oh, no, no, no. Servant girl brought him a Javachino, but she put something in it. There's no question about it. She very conspicuously put some white powder in there. Was the victim he saw the real victim, or not? That doesn't matter. The fact remains, he saw the accused put the poison into the coffee. Yes, it was the waitress who poisoned the coffee. Very impressive, Mr. Godot. Waiting for my absence to launch her attack. Found your pen at last, right? It was in my pocket. But anyway, Mr. Godot witnessed two people that day. He saw the victim and the supposed Mr. Glenn Elg, and the waitress from behind. Yes, your point, Mr. Wright. I think the conclusion is obvious. If this Glenn Elg was really the killer in disguise, then surely it's possible the waitress was also part of the show. What? You mean the waitress was an imposter as well? The defendant, Miss Bird, fell unconscious immediately after the incident. And someone used her fainting to hatch an elaborate plan to pin the murder on her. Who on earth was it? Who was this waitress that Mr. Kudo witnessed? This girl. Who is this woman? Her name is Viola Cadaverini. She's an employee of Tenderlender. You're just making a big mistake. Do you know who Violeta's grandfather is? You better go home in an armored truck tonight if you know what I mean. Stop shaking, Nick! Where was I? Yes, the defendant, Miss Bird, had stated the following. Well, when I took the coffee over to the victim's table, it's true there was another customer in the restaurant. She was sort of creepy. And she had a kind of cackling laugh. There are just too many contradictions in this case. The second man at the victim's table who nobody but Miss Bird seems to have seen. The earpiece worn by the victim in his left ear when that eardrum was ruptured. And the radio show he was supposedly listening to half an hour after it was over. There's only one logical explanation that clears up all these contradictions. The whole incident took place twice. Once for real, and once for show. And Mr. Furio Tigre could have been the only person who committed the crime. Is you. The only person. Witness? What have you got to say? That's cute. Sorry? You's alright? I could do with a guy like you around. What do you mean? Okay, I'm in on this game. I'm gonna have to charter a jet to get to my meeting now, but I'm gonna give you one more thing to think about before I go. Something to think about? You just got it all wrapped up nice, alright? But you just missed out on one real important thing. But that can't be. I was in the joint that day, and I met that kid too. But I couldn't have poisoned him. Could you see it? Do you really expect us to believe you now, Mr. Tigre? What a troublemaker. Troublemaker? Looks like we're going to need another one for the road. One more steaming cup of hot testimony. Indeed. Witness, you will explain yourself to the court. I will give you one more chance to testify. What happened that day at Trebian between yourself and the victim? Yeah, I loaned Elle cash. About $500,000. That day, we was due to have a little chat. The kid had hit his payback date, see? So anyway, he tells me he's got no way to pay up. I'm about to flatten the guy when he starts screaming. Yes, I won! $500,000! He got lucky, you know, real lucky. If that waitress hadn't done what she'd done, everything would have been over. Now, I think the principal amount you loaned Mr. Elk was $50,000. Yeah, well, you just got the big to take into account. Interest builds up fast, you know? That's faster than fast. $100,000 is twice his principal. And the payment deadline was December 3rd, the day of the incident in question. Yeah, he was one lucky kid. He got that $500,000 just in time. So I ain't have no reason to kill the kid. And if I ain't got no motive, you ain't got no case. His motive? He has to have one. But what is it? We still have the... Yeah, these. Here's his motive. Okay, that waitress. The waitress, you mean... The girl with the glasses in the vendor's chair, who else could I mean? If she hadn't gotten in the way, things would have been bada bing, bada boom, over and done with. Maybe I should push a little on this. How things would have been? What do you mean things would have been over and done with? Are you so there or what? I'm talking about the cash! I was there to get my $100,000 back. That's all. I'm a businessman. It was all coming together before that waitress got in the way. As far as I could tell from the witness's testimony, other than recouping his loan, Mr. Tigre had no motive for killing the victim. Witness, you will amend your testimony to reflect what you just said. Tiger's motive, huh? It was after the $100,000. I didn't have no reason to kill the guy. I do believe otherwise, my dear. So you just intended to get back the $100,000 Mr. Elg owed you, correct? I loaned the guy for the cash, so that's my right. Unfortunately for Mr. Elg, $100,000 wasn't enough to cover it, was it? About 6 months ago, you were involved in a traffic accident, weren't you? An accident involving a car and a scooter, in which a young woman was injured. She was taken to the hospital where she underwent surgery. Where did you get all this info? These medical papers document the treatment of the young woman in question. According to these, her operation cost $1 million. Payment for these expenses was due in December of last year, and was paid in full. $1 million? What's her sum? Someone should sue these HMOs. No one would pay a bill like that. If the medical association got wind of it, the hospital would end up as dead as a morgue. But Mr. Tigre had no choice but to pay, because his very life depended on it. Order! 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 You say his life depended on it, Mr. Wright. Indeed it did, simply because the injured woman was none other than Viola Cadaverini. Did you say Cadaverini? Brutal Cadaverini, mob boss in charge of all underworld activities in the city, and doting grandfather to his precious Violetta, also known as Viola Cadaverini. Your life was in danger unless you paid compensation to the boss, correct? Makes sense. You were desperate to acquire the $1 million Cadaverini demanded of you. So desperate, in fact, that you decided to sacrifice Glenn Elg's life to pay your debt. Order! 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 What do you say to that witness?
Objection!
It's a nice little fairy tale, right? But even if the witness did need $1 million, that doesn't tie him to Elg's murder. Elg only owed him $100,000. He had no hope of repaying it anyway. Yeah, that guy wasn't worth my spit. I don't think so. In fact, the opposite is true. The opposite. Lending money with no hope of ever seeing repayment would normally be bad for business. But in this case, the very fact that Glenn Elg had no way to repay the money is crucial. What? Do you know where you're going with this, Nick? You gotta think outside the box, Maya. Outside the box? It's very straightforward. Mr. Tigre wasn't after the $100,000 at all. It seems you have a logical conclusion for this theory, Mr. Wright. Would you care to share it with us? What exactly was Mr. Tigre after? This. MC Bomber. Glenn Elg was a programmer, a highly skilled programmer. That skill was the collateral Mr. Elg put up in order to borrow the money. Care to explain how skill can be used as a collateral to secure a loan, Trite? He had the skill to create a computer virus, and so he did. A virus known as MC Bomber. A computer virus. What does one of those do? A computer virus is a program that wreaks havoc on the insides of a computer. A computer. What does one of those do? I guess the beard isn't the only part of his honor that's from the Stolen Age. I'll explain it to you later, Your Honor. Right now, this is the important point. A virus like MC Bomber would be worth several $1 million on the black market. Mr. Tigre, you couldn't have cared less about the $100,000, isn't that right? All you cared about was one thing, the virus. On the day of the murder, Mr. Tigre's sole intention was to get his hands on the CD. Glenn Elg had no way of paying back the $100,000, and Mr. Tigre knew it. But then a miracle happened. The kind that Mr. Tigre would prefer to say never happened, but he can't, and neither can I. The lottery win. Exactly. At the 11th hour, Mr. Elg won $500,000 in the lottery, which left Mr. Tigre with no way of getting his hands on the all-important CD. At least, no legitimate way. So he resorted to illegitimate means. That's crazy. He murdered Glenn Elg and then made his next move. To frame Maggie Bird for the crime. Mr. Tigre posed as Glenn Elg, while Viola Cadaverini played the role of Miss Bird. And then they reenacted the whole thing in order to establish a witness. The witness being the one we all heard testify yesterday, Mr. Victor Kudo.
Objection!
Like I said, Trite, that's crazy. No one could pull off a stunt like that. For starters, there's no way the chef could have been kept in the dark about it. But Mr. Armstrong was in on it from the very beginning. Have you forgotten already, Mr. Godot? Mr. Armstrong owed the witness money too. $500,000, in fact. He had no choice but to go along with Mr. Tigre's plan. Order! Order! Silence or I will clear the court! You've put on a good show, Spiky. If you want to stay alive in the loan shark business, you gotta be careful. You saying I dressed up like a kid, create a witness, and framed someone? If I did something crazy like that, I'd leave a trail as bright as my shirt. Or as bright as your skin. Like I said, these people are idiots. I ain't dumb enough to do something sloppy like that. I agree. You're dumb, but not that dumb. You do? Despite your appearance, you are very careful. And that's why you took one more precaution. One more trick to make sure Miss Bird had no way out. What? Another one, Mr. Wright? Interesting. Why don't you fill us all in, Trite? What was this trick you say Mr. Tigre performed to frame the accused? Oh, a little thing called a fake badge. Made out of cardboard paper. Really badly. What on earth is that? What an insult to think anyone could be fooled by such a childish... Bitch! You were fooled by the orange... You were fooled by someone with an orange skin and a Boston accent trying to parade around in a blue suit. You have no say in this when you were just as much of an idiot as everyone in that trial. Consider yourself insulted, Your Honor. Mr. Tigre, you didn't just pose as the victim on the day in question. A month ago, in this very court, you posed as me. What? That's the truth. But the witness looks nothing like you, Mr. Wright. Thank you. Now, if only you believed that from the beginning, you dumbass. Although, now that I think about it, it was you, wasn't it? No doubt it was you, standing in here this very court here a mere month ago. The Phoenix Wright who put up the most disreputable, shabby defense I've ever seen. Can you prove that, Gramps? Prove the attorney who represented the accused here a month ago was this man. Alright. Mr. Godot, you are either stubborn or stupid. Just as stupid as everyone who thought this was Phoenix Wright. Are you prepared to take the stand and testify that it was him? Oh. Hey. Forget about it, yeah? Wouldn't do something like that? Not me. You made a mistake, right? It was someone else, huh? Have you no pride, sir? Objection. This isn't a matter of pride. In case you didn't know, Trent, here in court, we deal with people's lives. Mr. Godot is right. Your Honor, speaking for myself, I am absolutely convinced. The attorney in question was the witness standing before me now. However, I preside over this court as a judge with the vested power to hand down a verdict. Someone in my position cannot be swayed by a memory without evidence to support it. If the defense has no further evidence, the court will now excuse the witness. The circumstances surrounding Mr. Tigre are dubious, for sure, but not conclusive. But we've come so far! You say he impersonated Elg. You say he impersonated you. But none of that adds up to a murder charge. You don't have a shred of evidence that the witness poisoned the victim's coffee. Sucks to be you, right? Don't mess with the tiger, or you're gonna get mauled. You've got that? All he managed to do here was chase him around a bit. I was so close to getting him to admit to his own guilt. Looks like I won't be needing a refill. If I just had one more piece of evidence. One more piece of evidence and maybe I could get Maggie off the hook. This witness's cross-examination is over. You're free to go, Mr. Tigre. Come on, Gumshoe. Your Honor, sir. Wait! Gumshoe, you're the best! Detective Gumshoe! Sorry I was long, pal. I staked everything on this. My badge, the works. So here it is. My heart's counting on this too. What is it, Detective? Is it obvious, pal? It's the final decisive piece of evidence. What? Sorry it took so long, pal, but I finally got the results from the lab. The results? About the prints, pal? From this medicine bottle? Oh, so do you know who the prints belong to now? Do you think I'm some kind of hack detective? Of course I know. So? Tell us! They're the tigers, right? I knew it. You bet. Clear as crystal, all over the bottle. They're Furio Tigre's paw prints, alright. That's great! We've got him now, Nick. What's wrong with you? You've hardly said a word since Detective Gumshoe got here. He's laid everything on the line for this, Nick. I know. Look, I'm sorry. This is kind of hard to say, but it really doesn't make any difference whose prints are on that bottle now. Huh? What? Why not? What we need to produce at this stage in a trial is irrefutable evidence that the tiger put poison in Glen Oak's coffee. He's already admitted that he met the victim. And the fact that his prints are on this bottle, that really doesn't make any difference now. I knew it. Great. No matter how hard I try, I'm never of any use. Hey, don't be so hard on yourself. This was our last chance to help Maggie. I've been working on some useless piece of evidence the whole time. That's alright. I'm a real loser. It's not breaking news to me, pal. Detective Gumshoe? Maggie! You've been working on something for me? Sorry, I let you down, Maggie. I know you didn't do it. And I'm a detective. We're supposed to be able to prove stuff like that. I'm really sorry. I'll get all your hair now. Detective Gumshoe, wait! He's gone. Isn't there anything we could do now, Nick? I wish there was. Gumshoe worked so hard to get that evidence. If only there was some way I could use it. So that's it? We've lost? Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. I granted you a recess so you could prepare the decisive evidence you discovered. Yes. Don't keep us all in suspense, Trite. Show us. Naturally. We can assume it's evidence that will actually stand up in court, can't we? Think, Phoenix. Don't let Gumshoe's hard work go to waste. How much more of my time are you just gonna waste? I ain't been to no court before. But you lawyers sure know how to blow things out of proportion. No doubt, given the nature of the evidence, it will speak for itself. Nevertheless, you will talk us through it, Mr. Wright. Well, I know I can't prove anything new with this evidence. I'm really backed into a corner here. But maybe if he thinks he's got me beat, he'll let his guard down a bit. Don't keep us waiting any longer, Mr. Wright. Present this final decisive piece of evidence to the court. Well, this is the defense's final piece of evidence. Isn't that the victims? Your Honor. Naturally, the court is already aware of the contents of this bottle. However, interesting new information has come to light. We have clearly identified fingerprints on it. Fingerprints belonging to you, Mr. Tigre. What? But, Mr. Wright, what conclusion are you hoping to draw from this new information? Everyone in here knows what this bottle contains, except one man. one person in this courtroom should theoretically be in the dark. Prisoner on that pansy-looking bottle? Is that what you're saying? Well, what the hell's in it anyway? Oh. Oh, we're gonna make him think? We're gonna make him think it's phony trial, phony lawyer, and phony clues. Everything about this case has been phony. Seems like the perfect excuse for some funny evidence. Mr. Tigre, in this decisive piece of evidence I will prove your guilt. Why? Because it contains potassium cyanide. This bottle contains potassium cyanide. Potassium cyanide? The poison used to murder Mr. L, Your Honor. The victim's killer used this very bottle. And on this bottle, Mr. Tigre, we found your fingerprints. Well, how do you explain that? You making a good clown, you know that? What? You ain't never gonna get this to stick. You're just making me laugh now. You think a cheap bluff like that's gonna fool the tiger? A bluff? I can see straight through you, Phoenix Wright. That ain't the bottle with the cyanide in it. No, this is the bottle we found. This is the bottle. We found traces of the poison in it. Don't mess with the tiger. But you couldn't get ripped to shreds. The cyanide bottle was brown, and it was made of glass. That cheap piece of trash don't look nothing like it. Congratulations, you played yourself. Got him. At last. What? How's everyone gone quiet? I said that bottle. Is this the bottle you're referring to? Yeah, that's it. That's the bottle with the cyanide. That's the bottle the cyanide was in. But you ain't gonna find my prints on that bottle. Don't let that cozy-looking suit fool you, people. That lawyer's just playing games. Tell him, Mr. Prosecutor. Tell him, Mr. Prosecutor. Don't let God where to go. You still haven't figured it out. Don't you realize what you just said? What I said? What did I just say? You were summoned to this court for the first time earlier today. If you really had nothing to do with the murder, you shouldn't have known all the little details. For instance, you shouldn't have known what kind of bottle the potassium cyanide was in. But just now, you slipped up in front of every single person in this courtroom. You described the exact bottle used by the killer to hold the poison. You just don't know who you're messing with. I'm the tiger. I control millions of dollars on the black market. You think I'm gonna let some jumped-up suit get the better of me? Sure, the last piece of evidence was phony. But that's just what you deserve. The phony trial with a phony lawyer was all played out by you, the biggest phony of all. He roared so loud he broke the lights! What's going on? Looks like a blackout. Well done, Trite. I saved my 17th cup of coffee just for you. Savor it. While you watch the police restrain your prey. Well, at least we won. Mr. Wright, you caught a tiger by his toe, but if this one hollers, he won't be let go. Now then, how are things going with Mr. Tigre, Mr. Goodall? He's being arrested on suspicion of the murder of Glen Elg, Your Honor. Fortunately for us, we managed to rectify a very grave error. Miss Bird was found guilty in the absence of a genuine defense attorney. Yes, she was. And in the absence of genuine evidence. But the tiger made one mistake. Indeed. He very nearly got away with everything if it wasn't for that one slip of the tongue. Furio Tigre is a truly frightening criminal. Truly frightening one. Is that defense attorney over there? Duh. Well, I'm now in the position to deliver my verdict. This court finds the defendant, Maggie Bird, not guilty. Boom. Now y'all better think of something to make up for 1 month in solitary. That is all. Court is adjourned. Mr. Wright, I'm at a loss for words. Thank you, sir. Congratulations, Maggie. I was so mad when Mr. Wright landed me in all that trouble a month ago. But now I feel like I can forgive him. Hey, it wasn't me, Maggie. That was the tiger. Look, Nick, in the doorway. Detective Gumshoe. Oh, guess I'll be heading off then. See you around, pal. Wait! Detective Gumshoe. Oh, yeah. Congratulations, Maggie. Thanks. I knew you were innocent all along. Why didn't you say that in your testimony then? Huh? Oh. Well, I was... Well, guess I'll be heading off then. See you around. Wait up, detective. He just ran off. Maggie, why are you being so hard on him? He busted his butt for you. It's thanks to him that we got this medication bottle. That wasn't even of any use. But it's only because Mr. Wright used it so cleverly. Detective Gumshoe was just running around in circles. Poor guy. Looks like she still isn't ready to forgive him. Can't you put in a good word for him, Nick? Yeah, Maya is right. I shall help Gumshoe out. It's clear he needs it. Maggie? You know, Detective Gumshoe's been really worried about you through all this. I wanted to believe that, sir. But on that first day of the trial, he practically gave the judge a free pass to lock him up. Lock him up? Lock me up. Jeez. Read, idiot. He didn't have any choice, Maggie. He's a detective. He has to report the facts. He doubted me, that's why. He thought I might have done it. I've got to prove to her that Gumshoe really cares about her. And I've got a lunchbox full of weenies to help with that. I know. I'll give her a little present to celebrate her freedom. Here you are. A present to celebrate your freedom. That's... A present for Detective Gumshoe, made with a ton of love. He said you lost weight and he was worried about you. Detective Gumshoe? I actually really like weenies, you know. Did you guys hear that? I'm pretty hungry myself, you know. Yeah, the trial's dragged on a bit today, didn't it? Is it okay if I eat this now? So, how is it, Maggie? It's really good. Oh, she started tearing up a bit there, too. So the case of the phony versus genuine comes to an end. The false allegations surrounding Maggie have all been cleared up. And who knows? Maybe a whole new chapter of her life is about to begin. I forgot to check how old she is. Oh well. I'm pretty sure she's old enough to be in the police department, so... Turnabout beginnings. Nice outfit, Edgy. The girl. Let her go! Shut up! Come closer, and I'll kill her! Sorry, but you're not going to get the chance. I'm reading through the file of an old court case. It was the first case of my longtime mentor, Mia Fey. Fugitive data. Terry Fallis. Charged kidnapping and murder. Sentence death penalty. Fugitive movements. After escaping, Falls met with and then murdered Sergeant Valerie Hawthorne. Recaptured on Eagle Mountain about 8 hours after his escape. Her very first client was a death row inmate who had recently broken out of prison. It was a whole year before Mia and I ever met. Six years earlier, Mia Fey, first trial. Another chapter with Mia in it. Huh. We'll be starting up this trial in the next episode. Till then, I'm signing off. Bye-bye.